Hello everyone, this is Sharkman, and I'm back continuing my human wizard game. And I just came back from the shoals, and I came to Elf looking for some XP and trying out my nice fancy new demon trident. So, seeing as Elf is one of the most dangerous parts of the game and completely optional, it's a good idea to be extremely cautious in um, in here. So basically what I'm doing is I'm attempting to kill some elves to get some XP to get my stuff castable. However, I would be a little bit more careful, but there is a timed portal to a bazaar. Let's see. There's a time portal to a bazaar there in which I can buy an item if I find it. Shoot, this is actually really bad because the monsters nearby, the monsters in my way of getting to the bazaar are two monsters that I definitely don't want to deal with. So I shoot. Okay. Whew, that was nasty. Okay. So this is the double-edged sword of silence. I was able to kill Azul, and um I wasn't able to cast any spells like Blink or read any spells of teleportation to get away. He couldn't cast spells, I couldn't cast spells. It was a trade-off. And because I had this demon trident, I was able to take him down. So I'm going to drop some items before entering the bazaar because I have a full inventory. And so basically I'm going through the shops and seeing what's in them and then deciding if I want to buy anything. So I'm short money for a lot of stuff because I spent all my money on some item. I don't remember what it was. Let's see. And that's unfortunate, but whatever. Okay, apparently I bought all sorts of things. Yeah, looks like it. Okay. So with only 300 gold, I can't really buy anything that's not a consumable. Like, there's a demon whip, which would have been very nice. Scroll acquirement, which would also have been very nice. But I guess not. So I'll buy probably the next best thing that I can buy, and that's probably a blinking scroll. So I'm gonna see what's in this scroll shop. Fog and blinking. I might as well buy some remove curse scrolls because Ashen's already runs on remove curse scrolls. And yeah, that's it. I'm out of money. I could have gotten a nice demon whip, but that's the way things go. Oh, and here's the Book of the Warp. The Book of the Warp is like one of the more rare books. It gives two great translocation spells that I like to use: Controlled Blink and Phase Shift, which gives you evasion, and Controlled Blink acts like a scroll blinking. So yeah, that's it for this bazaar. Too bad I couldn't find anything nicer. Oh well, no big deal. Plus the Ring of Dexterity. I'll drop it. So my silence failure rate is already down to 6%. That's was surprising considering it was just at 21. So it looks like I could take down a significant portion of the elves in the elvish halls, elven halls. Um, the only elf that's not exactly dangerous in the elven halls is an elf mage. Deep elf conjurers cast spells, cast bolts. They have negative energy, electricity, fire, and cold damage, and they can make things pretty tough on you. So pretty much the best way to combat these elves is silence, or a means to kill them extremely quickly. Also, my polearms is getting up there, which is nice. Once I have that at 14, it will be great. Once it's at 14, then I can train some other things. Alright, that's Snorg, I think. Snorg, yeah. He's a unique troll, one of two, that randomly berserks, and then if you deal him combat damage, he has a much higher chance of berserking. So, I was able to clear Elf 1. Typically, I'd say never try to clear Elf until you are pretty high level. And then even so, unless you have like practice, or if you know what to deal with an Elf, don't go to Elf 3. Right there, I fought a Deep Elf Death Mage. Those are one of the higher tier elves. Beyond like there's like moderately dangerous elves and really dangerous elves. So Deep Elf Death Mages, Annihilators, Sorcerers, um, Demonologists. Those are some of the higher leveled elves, and you find a ton of them in Elf 3, and you find the occasional one in Elf 1 and 2. I've heard that Deep Elf Knights have gotten a bit stronger lately, so that might be true. Um, so I'm actually confusing. I decided to use Mephetic Cloud on these elves instead of trying to kill them while silenced, because I think I was fighting too many of them at once. That worked out, so I'm in decent shape right now. Oh yeah, Deep Elf fighters aren't exactly that dangerous. I think they're about on par with a Orc Warrior, maybe. Maybe it's like an Orc Warrior plus an Orc Wizard, you get a Deep Elf fighter. Something like that. The +8 Autumn Katana is a really, really cool weapon. It's a unrand art. Unrand. It's a one-handed weapon, has really good base damage, and is really, really fast. And it gives clarity, which is not is a thing usually found on an amulet and not on a sword. So in Crawl, you occasionally find these things called um, unrand arts, which is basically unrandom artifact, because there are random artifacts and artifacts that have predetermined properties, and the Autumn Katana is one of those. Oh yeah, so the radius of sounds keeps decreasing. So for a little while, I was the only one who silenced, and everyone around me would have the ability to cast spells. So that's the worst part of silence, is when you can't cast spells, but everything else can. Hmm. Two really good spells in this book that I like. I like Dispel Undead because it deals a lot of damage to any undead that they can't really resist or do anything about. Hmm. Alright, I have Flight, the spell, so I don't think I really need Flight the potion. Deep Elf summoners summon various spidery things, and they blink around, so they do annoying things like have their summons swarm you and poison you and hurt you pretty bad. Okay, polearms is going to be past 14 now, so that's fabulous. I might as well train something else. Maybe I'll train more fighting. I'll train some more spellcasting so I can learn more spells. Because spells are cool. So back in the day, there used to be this branch that you'd find in the vaults called the Hall of Blades, and it would have these animated weapons, which were enemies that would attack you, and once you'd kill them, they'd turn back into regular items, and you could pick them up and use them. That disappeared. Increased dex again because I want to increase my evasion. My evasion went up. I don't have a armor that I really want to wear, so I don't need to increase strength at this point. So there used to be this branch called Hall of Blades, and the Hall of Blades branch was eventually removed, and recently it's been added to Elf 2. So now there is half of Elf 2 is this branch with various nice weapons, where you could find things like Evening Stars, Executioner's Axes, Triple Swords, Bastard Swords, the really, really rare weapons of every category you could find. So here's a Deep Elf Sorcerer, and they can banish you to the Abyss, and they can also summon demons. They have a lot of different spells, which is what's crazy about them. But silence deals with most elves, and that's why I personally really like it. It's a pretty big investment if you're not worshiping Ashnzari, because Ashnzari made it a lot easier for me to cast this spell. And here's the entrance to the Hall of Blades, and I don't really want to go there because I have my nice weapon. So yeah, okay. So look, there's all this nice loot in Elf 3. You have things like gold and manuals and the Amulet of Vitality, and it's filled with enemies that can easily annihilate a character, like Deep Elf Master Archers, Death Mages, Annihilators, Blade Masters. And so, yes, while you sometimes will get really cool loot, like the Amulet of Vitality, you can easily die if you go there. How do I go to Bazaar? Okay, I think I'll go back to the shoals. I've gotten my Demon Trident at minimum delay, which is 0.6, which is pretty fast. Yeah, I'm carrying a lot of stuff, and I do want to drop some of it. So because my Trident is electricity branded, it's tearing through a lot of the elves pretty quickly. I don't exactly need Scrolls of Silence because I have Silence castable, so I'll drop those. Scrolls of Silence work just like casting the spell Silence. So they're useful on guys who are really bad at learning hexes if you haven't found the Silence spellbook, or if you're worshipping Trog, and Trog doesn't allow you to cast spells. So, I mean, you could cast spells, but you get punished pretty bad for it if you try. Shoals 3. Okay, so Shoals 4 is not yet fully explored, so here's a good place to go. Oh, water elemental. So this water elemental is resistant to the brand of my weapon, so just to ensure that I won't be in any trouble, I made it walk into a flame cloud. Right here is a Merfolk Aquamancer, and they have lovely spells. Primal Wave, Steam Ball, Throw Icicle, and they blink around. So they are different than most merfolk because they carry usually a cutlass, a short blade, a rapier now, I guess. So they don't have the reaching ability, but that's just something minor. Because I have silence, I'm able to deal with them. Now, there's a lot of really nasty enemies here, and I don't know why. Somebody is scrying to check it out, and there's satyrs and a satyr and some fawns, and they slow you, they confuse you. I don't know if I should deal with them, attempt to deal with them rather. I could try out Poisonous Cloud, see how that goes. Yeah, I might as well try it out. So I've got a Impaler and a regular merfolk after me, so I think I will deal with these guys first. So all pole arms have the reaching ability. They allow you to attack from 1 square away. It's really, really good on enemies because they can crowd around you. And if for you, it can give you a couple free attacks. Alright, so none of them shouted, so those guys should still be asleep. And I can deal with these merfolk before I try to deal with those guys. I don't even know what they count as, like fawns, fawn type things. I don't have very high magic resist, but I think I'm okay. Okay, so let's see. I was put to sleep. That sucked. So when you get hit by when you fall asleep, there's only a couple of sleep effects. When you get hit by something that makes you fall asleep, it does like 2.5 times regular damage. So you can take a massive amount of damage from it. Your evasion doesn't get lowered at all, which is interesting. So I actually dodged the attacks. Did I actually get hit? Okay, I got actually woken up by his fear ability and not from getting hit. Otherwise, my health would have gone down quite a bit. Alright, so now I'm going to go down to Shoals 5. This is going to be interesting. After fighting these guys. So they'll do things like pelt you with stones, satyrs will fire arrows at you, and then they'll hex you and try to confuse you and slow you. And they'll use Corona on you, which makes you easier to hit. So in general, just pretty annoying. And I confused these 3 fawns, and they drowned. That was fun. Alright, here is this unique mermaid. I don't know how to pronounce that. Ilsweel? I don't know. And she's pretty tough. If the shoals generates in your game, she will always be there. She's an enemy that's always in the shoals. A unique that spawns 100% of the time as long as you have the shoals. So she's comes with an entourage of various merfolk, aquamancers, mermaids, or sirens rather, javelineers, and so I'm not going to go down this entrance because that's too deadly for me. And I'll go down a different one because that way I won't die. I mean, I might not die if I try to fight that, but it's not worth trying. And right there is an example of why it's a nice idea to have a decent stealth, if at all possible, have some stealth. Because I walked down there into view of several monsters and none of them saw me. Or yeah, none of them noticed me, allowing me to go up the stairs and not being hit by any spells or things that would prevent me from moving up the stairs. Okay, so this situation's a little bit hairy. I'm gonna flee. Okay, this is actually getting really bad. Satyrs can give their allies the might ability, which increases their damage by a lot. So, a pretty good indication to not fight enemies. Try to avoid enemies if possible while that ability is active. So the fear effect is something that's created by giant orange brains, I think, have that ability, and satyrs. And what it prevents you from doing is moving closer to the enemy. Whereas with mesmerize, you can only move closer to. Fear, you can only move away from. And if you can hit the enemy, fear does not prevent you to, but fear will prevent you from getting close enough to the enemy to hit them. So typically there's all these little huts, and inside one of them you will have, oh dear, okay, so there's a wind drake over there, and that wind drake will use airstrike on me, dealing me a fair bit of damage. So if at all possible, I'd like to not be flying when fighting the wind drake. So I'm going to slog through some water and try to fight it on dry land. So these are the enemies that I've talked about, the ones that use water strike, and because it's a spell, they can't use it when I've cast silence, because I didn't make it to the stairs in time. Ooh, Book of the Warp, nice. I decided to cast silence and be flying instead of trying to fight them. So Merfolk Aquamancer, more or less useless when silenced. There's the Wind Drake. I am not flying, and it doesn't have does not have electricity resistance, which is nice. So this is a problem like that you run into I was still silenced, and I still had a couple turns on silence when I wanted to cast some spells against that Merfolk Impaler, but I was able to take them. In an emergency, you can drink a potion of cancellation to remove the silence effect, but in most situations, you're going to want to avoid. Whoops. You're going to want to avoid being in that situation in the first place, so you have to cancel your own silence. I wasn't in any real danger because I was still at full health. I'd really like to find the rune and then continue exploring. Stone Giant, that's great. That's fabulous. So Stone Giants are like Cyclopses in that they throw rocks, they do a ton of damage, and have quite a bit of health. But I was able to take him, so it's all cool. What's nice about having a Demon Trident is that I don't have to deal with walking up to the Snapping Turtles to attack them, because I can attack them at the same range that they attack me. Just a minor nice thing. I'll use Poisonous Cloud. Why not? I've got a spell. Why not use it? Yeah, Poisonous Cloud made that pretty easy to deal with. And as a 6th level spell, it has a fair hunger cost, so I'm going to be wanting to pick up chunks. Stone Giant. Yep. So I miscast there, and my miscast produced a Noxious Cloud, which I didn't get confused by because of clarity, but I think I took minor damage from it. Yeah, where it says you choke on this stench is you taking some minor damage. Okay, so here is Illiswiv, or whatever her name is. And she generally blinks around, summons allies, summons allied water elementals, and generally is rough to deal with. I'm near starving, so I'm going to eat a fruit, and I'm going to hope I hit 5 magic so I can cast Silence. Okay. So I've got all these enemies in a Poisonous Cloud, and I'm still at a good amount of health. So I think I will be just fine. Alright, if I got netted, I would be less fine. But as of right now, I am fine. Wow, that was very convenient. I was able to deal with, what, 3, 6, 9 or 10 pretty difficult enemies. Worked out. So, these are the things that you have to deal with in shoals, like enemies that will summon, allies poke you from afar. Okay, so you see all those nasty faces, those little mean faces? I can bet the runes in there. What is that? 6 Merfolk Impalers, wow. So, A really good way to deal with the shoals is using invisibility, because most of the enemies in the shoals can't see invisible. The only ones that can are aquamancers and water nymphs, I think. That's about it. So if I was invisible, I could walk up, grab the rune, get out, and not even have to fight them, because none of those guys in there have seen visible. I just really don't want them to shout and wake up all these enemies. I just want to be able to go invisible, grab the rune, cast Poisonous Cloud a couple times. You know, every man's dream. So I will know when, or if they all wake up, because I'll see all those faces moving around. If I ever fight something like a green draconian or a gold dragon without resist poison, it'll illustrate how deadly Poisonous Cloud is. Oh, darn it, they woke up. Whatever, no big deal. I will deal with them as they come. Let's see. I think